Hello, Chris here. Alright, another video showing you the benefits of Fairlight in Resolve. Now, this is obviously the full EVO system. This is the desk that basically Blackmagic bought this system and have incorporated it into the Resolve software, and it appears as a tab. But if you connect all these things in a normal Resolve setup, all of this appears. It's fantastic. And one of the things that I think is really handy is the way that the buttons have been really laid out very carefully. They've been battle tested over a decade or so of laying things out in a certain way for your fingers to be here, and buttons to be there with your thumb. Now, interestingly enough, on the newest version of the Resolve software, they've moved these things called mega modes, which is what we're going to talk about right now, over here. And I'm not sure about that. They've left the setup in there so that you can go back to the original, the EVO kind of layout, which is down here. These little buttons are down here, they're very handy. And then leaving the copy, paste, and nudge, like these are the movements, these are the options of the movements. Like say I want to copy something, I can copy the clip, I can copy the head, copy the tail, I can cut the head, cut the tail, I can cut the clip, erase the head. So you've got all these things that you go do, and then you go between your different modes here. So let's just talk about them right now. So your setup, it changes immediately all the things here into being more stuff to do with setup. Now, in other videos, I've really said that a lot of these things, I'm focusing on this particular control surface, which is in the middle. Not the faders and not all this other stuff right here, but really this part, because I think it's really important. The way that they've made this and designed it, it's absolutely fantastic. It makes a lot of sense. So in the other videos, I found that I could always say, well, you don't really need this. You can do it with keyboard shortcuts and use a Stream Deck, similar to this little guy up here, right? But in this one, I can't. In this one, it's really to do with the modes here. And you'll see why, all right? So in here, you've got your setup. So you can see here, when you're setting stuff up, it's adding tracks, adding buses, doing your bus assign. Again, those can be done in the menu. If I'm going to, like, say, bus assign, it brings up the bus assign page here. But again, I can go up into Mixer and go to bus format or bus assign. No problem, it's the same thing, it's up there. But these just make it handy, right? All right, cool. And then, you got things like your meters. You want them to be post fader. You want them to be post dynamics, post EQ, post insert, pre fade. Like you can change the metering point so when you're seeing something, what it shows up on the screen up here. Very, very handy. So these are all the setup things, right? But basically, a lot of it is to do with synchronizing and setting up your machine, right? Monitoring. That again, you can say put a track, to put a speaker out of phase or in phase. You can put them both out of phase for testing things. You can go to different speaker sources. You can go to your different auxiliaries. You can listen just to the auxiliary channels, just to the auxiliary buses or any of the buses. You can do those there. I've got any buses set up, so I've just got auxiliaries here. But there's the subs right there. You can set up all your monitoring. So all your monitoring is done like there. Again, you don't, for this type of stuff, you can do this all. I mean, actually, I can do all of that from this guy right here. I can listen to my auxiliary buses, whatever they are, just to listen to them right there. Very, very handy, but I just usually go to the main bus right there, no problem. Can also listen to something in mono straight away just to see what it sounds like. Again, it's very, very handy to have it here, but it's not necessary. So this one is something that would be less visited. Same with your project. You're setting up your settings for your project. You're importing stuff, you're importing video, you're importing tracks and all that kind of stuff. The bottom ones are the ones that you really use a lot more of. And that's your editor, your mixer, and your record. Mixer's faded and got a little red thing right now. Woo, 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 woo. Why? Because the mix bus is on. But I'm going to switch off the mix bus. Boop, off. Oh God, that's quite dramatic, isn't it? Lots of things going on off like that. That's quite cool. So in the mixer, it's a lot to do with, okay, if I'm looking at a particular track, let's say we're going to look at this particular track here, then you've got these ones here, your path, your EQ, and it's shown all here, it's shown on there. So if I go to EQ, it shows your EQ stuff, your dynamics, your auxiliary, and your plugins, any plugins you've got going on there, right? So that's all in the mixer. And again, you've got your looping stuff, you've got your zoom again, that's a very handy zoom. So that's just all mixer type stuff. Again, for any of those, I find this super, super handy too. If I'm listening to, say, let's say I'm listening to, now I think we should do keys or something like that. Let's just do keys, right? And I'm going to solo that. So I'm just going to put the keys on. Okay, and let's just find that track there so I can show you what I'm talking about. Right. Now again, it doesn't really look like much is going on there, so I'm just going to actually go to my editor, and I'm going to go to my clip level and just put the display up high so it can see what we're doing here. Fine. Now I'm going to take it down to like 16 channels so it can see what I'm doing. Right. So I'm listening to just the keys here, okay? And if I'm going to say, for instance, I'm just going to switch on EQ. I can do that all from here. So if I go to my editor, to my EQ, and I switch on, my EQ is on, right? And then the great thing is that if I listen to just this, keys, right? I can immediately here I can adjust the EQ and then the frequency of that EQ very, very handily. Then the next one down. So, right, and then same thing, all the different ones. Again, I can also hold down the blue key and just reset everything. Boop, 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 boop. Right? But let's just listen to that a little bit here. Let's just go back a little bit. And you'll get an idea of what it's like and why having these knobs on the side is super, super handy. All right, here we go. Listen to this. I can really find the tuning of that. I never say, oh, I want it to be a bit wider. Hold down this, and then I'm doing the cue of that. You can do that with any of them. Isn't that cool? Because I'm adjusting both at the same time. You can really feel the honk area and go, okay, I want to take that out a little bit. And it's a bit tight, so let's just widen it a little bit like that. Again, same with the bass, putting up the bass, whatever. It's sounding wacky now. Isn't that cool? And again, if you go, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm just going to reset it. You just press all, hold down the blue key and switch it off. Isn't that cool? Okay, so that's just on the EQ settings. That's just playing with the EQ. Same with dynamics. I can go on this and it'll show me what's happening. There's a limiter on. Is there a limiter on? No, the limiter's off. So let's just say I was going to put a limiter on there. I can just adjust the limit there and it shows it. If I go into my compressor, it actually shows the compressor is in there. Again, it shows, I think there's a gate on there too. Yeah, the gate's on. So let's switch off that gate. Again, so you can adjust all of the parameters of your ratio, and if you've got, I think markup is on the next page, is it? Nope. It's on, anyhow, you get the idea. So you can adjust any of those things on the screen, just like that. Very handy dandy, clean as a whistle. And of course, it shows you the levels of what's actually happening if something is being compressed. Oh, there's the markup there, makeup. And let's just say I was on limiter and I want to bring it down for no good reason. Or no, let's say gate. Gate and gate in. So you can see how the gate ratio, right, like that. It's so darn handy. So you've got the transport, you've got all your transport, and you've got the adjusters with these knobs on the side. Again, all of that sounds like garbage, so I'm going to reset it all. Or I can just switch it off. Compressor off, gate, everything off. EQ, even the EQ you can switch off if you don't want it. And then straight with the path is basically your panning. So you've got your level that you can change on the actual track there too. It's also adjusting here, the physical one, or I can do it here. You can see the same thing. But the cool thing is there, again, you can see how wide your stereo image is, how much you want to spread it. You know, you can even rotate it around if you're going to do a 5.1 thing, how much divergence each of them has. You can just roll it around like that. Isn't that just bananas? I love it. I'm just going to reset all of this because of course it's insane. But that gives you an idea. Again, all coming from here. Now, coming on to what is really the limit of coming onto the using this hardware. Now, you're going to go into this widescreen here. You might not be able to see it that easily. Oh, by the way, auxiliaries is that. You just basically, you can switch them on and send stuff. So your main things, path, EQ, dynamics, auxiliaries, and plugins. So let's just add a plugin. Config, add plugin. Ooh, which one are we going to add? Let's add the BX Console AMX 9099. Add. Now, this gets very, very cool. Right? It's come up on the screen there, you can see it. Now, I could go in and I could adjust all these things here with the mouse like a poor one-fingered person. Right? Now, I could also adjust it here So I can change my V gain. There's different things that you can adjust here, and there's actually multiple pages of things that you can adjust here. And you can do 2 of them at once. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Or 3, depending on how many fingers you have. Look. Well, and that's great. Love it. I think it's a little bit tricky to sometimes assign those, and you kind of get your main ones. What you can do is press this button here called Layout, bonk, and in Layout, you can say what you want assigned to certain things, right? So I want the clip limiters put to the particular ones. It's easy. It is possible to change it, and this is the cool part, and I think I'll have to record this with my phone at the same time so you can really see what I'm talking about. This is very, very cool. I'm showing off now. All right, here we go. This is fun. So let me just see if you can see it on the screen. I'm going to start recording from this one right here. Now, you're going to be able to see it from the top here, and you won't be able to really see it anywhere else, okay? But I'm just going to go in, and then I'm going to just, because these are touch screens, I can just touch these things like this. Isn't that fantastic? And I can switch these buttons on and off. I can do whatever I want here, all by touching this very skeuomorphic design thing. I think that is absolutely fantastic. Now, sad thing. The new version of this desk, the screens are not touchscreen. Now, it doesn't mean you can't add it. You can add a touchscreen monitor, no problem, and of course it will work. But the default ones that come out like this right now, the Blackmagic big professional desks, they found that not many people use the touchscreen. They ended up just going quickly and doing it on the controls. But I think going into the age of it being a DAW and being used more by musicians, they want to be able to look at something and grab. So if you had a PC and you had a touchscreen, they're not actually that expensive, just normal touchscreen monitors, and you want to be able to just grab a thing on the screen, I think that's very, very cool. Anyway, all right, so let's just look at this particular track here, right? So let's just say I was going to come in here. So that's on the mixer. You've got a lot of other things in here. You've got a path menu. This is super, super handy, actually. What this allows you to do is, I'm going to bring it up on the screen here because it actually does make sense here. Right now, the effects are first, which is wrong. Then you've got dynamics. Then you got EQ, then dynamics, then pan. I want to change that around. So you've got here now. It's funny. There's a little button here called Explain, and you hold that down and then press a button, and it tells you dynamics, EQ, and insert. All right, or this one here, EQ, insert, dynamics. Anything you can do with this button, you can press this Explain button and press anything. Plugins. It comes up, brings the plugins, blah, 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 blah. It basically is a manual built in. Fantastic. Anyhow, so let's just say we were going to go in there and I was going to set that to that one there. Now on the screen there, you can see the way that it changes around. That one there, it's dynamics, then it's EQ, then plugins, and then pan. You might run it that way. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's EDI, DI, all these different versions. One of them will be right for you. Mostly that way. All right, so we're out of that. So let's just say I'm going to go to the editor now. Same thing. So let's look at this here. We've got a track there. Let's just say we're wanting to do a fade. How easy is that? I come to the beginning of the track, the beginning of the clip, and then you move this here, and now you say fade head. It'll fade it right there like that. And if I go to the very end, and let's say, yeah, you know what, I want a huge big long fade. Actually, I'm going to cut the end of this, so I go cut. Oh no, I can do trim. Let's just say trim. You got trim slip, and I'll just go trim tail, then I go fade, move, and then fade tail. Do. It's so nice. And I can go back to the beginning and say, you know what, actually I want more of a fade at the beginning. Just like that. Simple, huh? It's nice. And I can say if I wanted to go down to the next track, let's just say I'm going to select this next track. Oh, just hold down track and use this wheel up and down. Again, it really relieves you of the mouse, jumping in on the mouse. And then say again, I'm just going to actually fade the top and tail of this one. So again, fade head, bonk, to the end, fade tail, boom. It's handy and dandy. All right, so same thing with a lot of these things there. If I go to cut clip, cut tail, cut head, split clip. So again, I come in here and I say, well, to be honest, I want to cut the clip. I want to cut the whole clip. You can do that. And then it brings it and you can move it around. And that's fine. And you can take it to different tracks if you want. Right? It's very, very simple to move it around. And then you just say, also there's another thing, if I dump it up there and just put it on there, it'll put it right there. But you get the idea. And same with any of these. If I was in here and I just want to quickly split this clip up and say, you know what, I still can't see the clip level. Let's bring up the display so I can see what I'm doing. Let go. Go into then cut, and then I can just say, well, I want to split the clip there, split it, go back, erase clip, bump, bump, go to here. Let's say I'm going to split the clip there, and then I could say, well, I know I want to just trim it there. So you go trim head, bump, 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 bump. It's very, very simple that way. All right. So there's some other stuff in the editor there, but that kind of gives you the basic idea. Then the record panel. Again, you've got to and from record. You've got a range. You can do a lot of punch in, record again, record here. You've got a play menu, play fade, play to. You've got lots of different stuff that makes all the recording handy. So it's just very handy to go between these three things, and all the stuff here gets changed out to make it so much easier for you to use them. So I really do feel that once you get used to this, there's really no turning back. And I know, yes, there's keyboard shortcuts on Logic and there's keyboard shortcuts in Resolve that can help that, and that's cool, and they work just fine. I think they're a bit longer, and these are offering me options to press one then press the other, and I don't get tired. I don't get mouse hand at the end of the day. So, and that's the mega modes. Again, I really think that they work here well, because I go between my fingers up here for the main copy, cut, paste, trim and nudge and all that kind of stuff. You know, if I go into nudge, I've got one frame backwards and forwards there. I can just nudge it. It's super handy just to have these options here, and then moving between these things. It's just so darn simple. I find it absolutely easy peasy to go. So that's the mega modes. May they remain mega. All right, this one is very heavily biased towards using this center panel here, but I think it makes sense. All right, cheers.